Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. There's a very popular on-chain analyst who primarily focuses on Bitcoin, and he is very confident, let's say, that very soon, in fact, in the next year or so, Bitcoin is, and crypto as a result, is going to no longer be correlated to the stock market. Now, provably to this point, and it's not really hotly contested. It's just acknowledged by analysts in the space that cryptocurrency, the entire asset class, it just moves in lockstep with stocks. If you zoom out on a chart directionally, you can see it happens. Now, certainly, it's the case that the opportunity for life-changing wealth is much greater in crypto compared to stocks. And so, if you're saying, well, how is it that it's moving in tandem if it so outperforms? Well, I'm talking directionally. There's so much less money in crypto compared to stocks that when you do get those big moves up, they're just much more pronounced for crypto, and to the downside, much more pronounced than you'd see with the stock market. That's all that means. But in terms of the movements, if you zoom out on a chart, directionally, there's incredibly high correlation. And I've always supposed, and I've said this many times on the channel, I think it's really just because this is a nascent asset class, and it's not really clear to people on the whole how to treat it. And you have a bunch of emotional retail speculators getting out of positions, getting into positions, so on and so forth. Round and round we go. But is that going to change? What about when more and more level heads jump into the space, including institutional money? Does that kind of change dynamics sufficiently that we now have a crypto asset class that just moves on its own and people hold longer? This type of thinking. And if so, what does that mean for cryptocurrencies getting judged based on their own merit, based on actual utility? Because I do think ultimately, yes, at some point in the future, when there's sufficient maturation of the asset class, there should be a decoupling of crypto on the whole compared to stocks. There should also be a decoupling of XRP to Bitcoin. And really, every coin should be judged on its own merits eventually. Anyway, plenty to discuss. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun, damn it. And if you don't like it, well, you can just get out. Now, as I'm recording this, XRP's at 73 cents, Bitcoin's at 40,802. It's been a volatile 24 hours or so, I think it's safe to say. Market cap for the asset class, 1.94 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 39.96%. And here is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 26 out of 100, indicating market participants are in fear mode. Also worth noting, since we're looking at this, the typical retail speculator does behave differently than institutional money coming in. And I'm going to be talking more about institutional money coming in just a little bit later in the video as we come back to this topic of the decoupling of crypto from the stock market. And for now, though, I do want to mention this. Bitcoin got as low within the last 24 hours, got it down to $40,271. And there seems to be a lack of interest lately in Bitcoin. Is this supposed to be some scary thing, though? Well, no. Take a look at this headline from Crypto Potato. Bitcoin Google searches down to lowest level since 2020. Think about this. And then they cite here, retail interest in Bitcoin seems to be fading as the Google searches plummeted to lows not seen in over a year. Well, folks, we're supposed to be scared, right? I mean, when that's the wrong direction, isn't it? And since Bitcoin leads the market, what's that mean for all of us that are holding XRP and other altcoins? What does that mean for us? Is it ever going to go? That's why you got to be aware of the different behaviors of different types of purchasers. I've been highlighting for some time. I didn't even bother pulling up a chart for this particular video. The whales out there, they've been purchasing like crazy. They've been snatching. I have showed so many charts of late. So that's what they're doing. But the typical retail speculators, most of them, in an individual basis, they don't put that much money in, but it certainly adds up when you got the whole. But most of them, they're just not paying attention because it's not as exciting right now, which is why I'll also say to you listening to this, it means you're paying attention to crypto in general. So kudos to you for being here. And also thank you for visiting my channel. I do appreciate the support very much. I'll always be humbled by that. I really do appreciate that. But more importantly, kudos to you for even being here paying attention to crypto when most people, typical retail speculators, it's not that interesting. Right? Okay, well, you may be too scared to participate right now and you may have trouble sleeping at night, Mr. Typical Retail Speculator, but things don't stay like this forever. It's so different compared to 4 years ago when people, after the huge runs up rather, we saw tremendous exits from the space, massive crashing out. We haven't seen that to this point. Now, in the short term, credible crypto chart analyst, he wrote the following just earlier today. Pullback was logical and expected. Keep calm and Bitcoin on. And then there's another tweet on the screen from April 19th, which I did share from him. And he said, hey, and Bitcoin's looking good now. It's around, I think it was around $42,000 at the time. He said a pullback to 39,000-ish, somewhere around there, sounds right. And we got fairly close to that, frankly. He was saying to expect that. Here's a tweet from analyst Leb Crypto. Bitcoin bullish megaphone formation on the H4 should $41,000 hold. So he's saying if $41,000 holds, which we're not far off from right this second, he's thinking that's a bullish sign going to move to the upside. So he still thinks, and so does Credible Crypto, we're in a macro upward trend despite the less than exciting price action that we've seen for X amount of time, however many months it's been. And I say not exciting. Anybody from traditional asset class like the stocks would be like, holy hell, this thing's volatile. But for us, for the initiated in the world of crypto, we're like, yeah, okay, well, it's not doing that much. When really compared to anything else, it is. But you know what I mean? We're not seeing the fun, really exciting, euphoric stuff to the upside. And then there was this from chart analyst Michael Vandepop. Bitcoin cracking crucial levels and looking ready for a test at $46,000 coming weeks. Well, I hope he's right. But bigger picture, as I was citing at the intro of the video, what about this decoupling? Again, a couple concepts here, like I said. Decoupling of Bitcoin and the crypto asset class from stocks, and also decoupling of XRP from Bitcoin. And really, every altcoin, I think. I think individually, every altcoin will be judged on its own merits eventually. So the question's when. We'll take a look at this. This is a tweet from Will Clemente. He shared the following with his 617,000 followers on Twitter. So he does a bunch of on-chain analysis for Bitcoin specifically. And he wrote, despite the NASDAQ being down 18% from its peak, a record high 64% of Bitcoin supply hasn't moved in at least a year. Beneath the surface, there is a group of convicted hodlers viewing Bitcoin as their store of value amidst unprecedented uncertainty in markets. Pretty remarkable. So I'll just pause to note, at least to this point, I would agree, it's pretty remarkable. Now, are we going to see some sort of massive 80% crash in Bitcoin and over a 90% crash for altcoins, including XRP, like we saw several years ago? If we're going to, fine. And I reserve the right to adjust my opinion as new things unfold and new data makes itself available, sure. But I got to admit, to this point, things are looking a little bit different in that regard, which is that people are not having the same remarks, like same response. We're seeing a shallower pullback. If this is a bear market, and he actually seems to think that perhaps this might reasonably be classified as one, it's shallow and people are behaving differently. Well, why are people behaving differently now? Is it because there's different types of entities purchasing, perhaps? Well, take a look at this. Here's another tweet. I got two on the screen. The first one is from April 18th from Will Clemente, and he wrote the following. I think the story of this bear market will be the transfer of supply from correlation trading, traditional finance entities, to crypto natives, high net worth individuals, and forward-looking institutions. The boring sideways range is an equilibrium of this transfer, in my opinion. So it was April 18th. And again, to just break it down to make sure everybody understands what he's saying, Bitcoin is going to shift from just trading in a correlated fashion to stocks. It's going to shift hands to crypto natives, as he cited, high net worth individuals, and forward-looking institutions. That's what he cited. Then he retweeted that, and he wrote the following. This is from today. Going to go on the record and say that I think we see a decorrelation between Bitcoin and stocks in the next 12 months once this transfer of supply is complete. If/when this occurs, it would be quite reflexive and powerful. Folks, I want this to happen. I hope it doesn't happen too soon, because the closer we get to stuff like that unfolding, the closer it is to the end. Not literally the end, but what I mean by that is we'll be entering the less exciting times. We'll be entering times where there's less opportunity to invest in crypto. As bigger money comes in, you'll get less and less of a multiplier effect. And it's part of the natural order. I've been saying that for years. I'd like that to be delayed as long as possible so that I can continue to plow money into this asset class so that when we do finally see alt season, even if it's in a subsequent market cycle, people still behave like this. I'd prefer that. But I know it's not going to be like that forever, and I don't pretend to know when. I'm not acting like I do know, but I do firmly believe that's just the natural evolution of things. Why wouldn't it be, especially as more money flows in, right? So, as far as him stating here that you're going to see Bitcoin basically decouple from the stock market in terms of its movements and just act on its own within the next 12 months, that might be a little overly optimistic. Maybe he's right, and I'll just say if that 12 months out, that's purely how it's behaving, I will say credit to Will, I'm very impressed. And maybe. But my gosh, is it really the case that enough of Bitcoin is going to flow in that time period? Because I'll tell you what, we're still seeing a lot of volatility. Fine, it's not like 4 years ago, like I said a couple minutes ago, but we are still seeing a lot of that volatility. Are we actually at that point? Because I don't think that you're going to have this market really be in mature mode until you flush out all of these crap projects. And again, Bitcoin leads everything else right now. So think about this: until we get rid of all these 18,000 plus cryptos, which frankly the vast majority of them do absolutely nothing, until those go to zero and effectively go the way of the dodo, my favorite extinct avian creature, I don't think we're going to be there. Now, that's also the reason that I'm so excited to hold XRP, because it's actually used in enterprise grade software today. That represents value, which is different than price. Price is just, what people are willing to exchange XRP for in open markets. But value, if a cryptocurrency is value, my gosh, solving real problems for real people, well, that represents something really important. That means there's got to be staying power. If something's useful for someone, they're not just going to cast it aside, and people won't suddenly think, oh, this thing's not good to go, I'm going to sell it, and then it goes to zero. That's not how humans behave. No. Humans will speculate on anything, and if something's going to have staying power, it'll be because, looks like businesses are actually using this, or people are using it for so-and-so reasons, all sorts of different reasons. And we actually are seeing that is the case in terms of actual adoption with XRP. So I don't think it's it's going to go away when we have this maturation finally. But when's that actually going to happen? Frankly, we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I don't think you're going to see that sufficiently matter until you have a terrible breakdown with altcoins specifically, which would probably be led by Bitcoin, I would think. And a bunch of projects go down substantially in price, and then out of the ashes, the good ones rise. And that's what you saw with the dot-com boom and bust. Think about Amazon. It went down as its business. Think about this. Its business model was getting better. It went from being worth over $100 down to I can't remember what it was, $7, $8, $9. You'd have to look it up, but it was something like that. It crashed dramatically. But while that was happening, that's just what they were trading the stock for. That's what humans were trading the stock for, on open markets, because the whole .com category was just tanking, and so Amazon was lumped in with that. But if you look at the business itself, it was just getting better and better and better, and those people paying attention, they just invested more as the price is going down. There were purchasers down at those lower prices, and they're like, you guys are freaking nuts, is what they were thinking. So even if we see that, it's not like I'd be unenthusiastic about XRP even if that happened before it took off. And not that I think it's going to, have a major crash like that with the rest of the market before taking off. I think it's much more probable we'll see alt season first. But even if, it's not like I'm going to be sour on crypto or XRP specifically. I'll be like, it's an Amazon moment. Okay. It's not going to matter. And I do think it's inevitable. I mean, it's going to come. It really is just a matter of time. So do you think that 12 months is reasonable for Bitcoin specifically? I'm a little skeptical of the timeline. In terms of it happening, he's hitting the nail on the head. Yes, it's going to happen. But man, that quickly? I don't know. People are still acting completely bonkers in crypto right now. Like, people every day are losing their goddamn minds up in this bitch. They really are. I mean, the fact that within the last 12 months, I mean, look at what did Ethereum Classic go from? It went up 17-fold in short order. Look at Dogecoin. Look at Shiba Inu. My gosh, you could have put $1,000 into Shiba Inu, and then however many months later, that would have been worth literally $1 billion. And I am not kidding. I literally am not kidding. Put $1,000 into Shiba Inu back when it was just created, and it would have become worth $1 billion. Completely absurd. Does that seem like a mature asset class to you folks? Now, Bitcoin is closer to being mature, the elder crypto, if you will. But man, I don't know. Just let me know what you think. I think it's an interesting topic, which is why I wanted to talk about it a little bit and share some thoughts from another individual on this. Again, like I said, I think he's nailing the concept, and I think that like XRP is going to be decoupled from Bitcoin. And what's that going to mean? Well, could XRP go to number one in terms of market cap? Well, if anything ever trumps Bitcoin in terms of market position, which could happen, it just means that it's solving a bigger problem than Bitcoin is solving at that point. So is Bitcoin solving the biggest and best, most important problem with a crypto that a crypto could ever solve just by being a store of value? I'm not convinced of that. Although if Lightning Network actually ends up working and then it can do all sorts of other stuff, okay, maybe just by the nature of it having first mover advantage, okay, maybe. I'm not sold on that idea either. I think it's totally plausible that XRP or some other cryptocurrency could supplant it. But again, it comes down to what degree is it solving problems for real people, because that's where the money's going to flow. That'll result in the price moving higher. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything, because if anything that I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.